Hello, sisters. It's my joy to be joining you today with a very dear to my heart conversation and topic of mother wound. And the reason why it's such a big topic, and Mother's Day is coming up soon, and it's been coming to my attention a lot lately that this is something I need to talk about more. It happens in my work with clients all the time, but I feel that I need to speak and address and really normalize how many of us have experienced a mother wound. Let me explain what that means. What do I mean by mother wound? It's a very common term in psychotherapy and therapy world. Psychoanalysis researchers refer to mother wound as when a child didn't receive the kind of nurturing and love and support, whether it is physical or emotional, that the child really needs. And that leads to, because mother-child relationship is the most important relationship that we form, that bond in the womb, the connection, and the way that it shows up when that connection wasn't as strong, whether it is emotional or physical, that we start to doubt our connection to the universe, to the universal mother, to the divine mother. And that shows up as anxiety, as fears, as depression, as low self-esteem, as inability to form healthy relationships in your life, and having a lot of challenges in relationships. A lot of times with women, or women's being a lot of comparison with women, and all kinds of self-sabotaging patterns that start to show up when we didn't form the kind of bond that we are really meant to form with our mother. When we are coming from the mother, we're coming from the earth. That's our primal connection to the earth and belonging, that sense of belonging here. And when that bond didn't fully form, whether it's your mom had her own trauma and didn't have the emotional capacity, emotional intelligence to attend to your needs, or she had some mental issues, or was perhaps just had a lot on her plate and didn't have the resources to attend to all of our needs, then we become separate. We create that limiting perception that we are separate from the mother, that we're separate from the universe, that they're separate from the whole of creation. And that is the primal reason why we have such a difficult time trusting the universe. That was one of our topics earlier, a few weeks or maybe a month ago. Ability to trust the universe and feel at home in your own being and at home in the world. And that really stems from that deep imprint, that trauma. It's really a trauma. The mother wound is a traumatic experience that so many of us had. And another reason why I felt so called to bring this topic to you today is because something really special happened yesterday. I received a text message from one of my clients, a male client, and we worked together for a period of several months. And when he came to me, he specifically came to me with an intention to heal his relationship with his mother and to release a lot of negative resentments about his mom and criticism about the way his mom couldn't be more of a role model for him, and all the ways that he felt like she was a narcissist and very dysfunctional and negative and manipulative. So he came with a lot of baggage, a lot of negative energy around his mom, and also an ex-wife and a lot of other women in his life. And it was so dear because we had this whole series of deeply therapeutic sessions. And the last one was in the water. And I just want to share with you the power of doing healing in the water. And I feel so blessed to be able to offer this to my clients. And now living in Florida and having a pool is like dream came true, with full circle with everything that I've learned and now I'm able to share. And that ability to hold somebody in the water and have a rebirth experience of being born again and rewrite the story of the original story that so many of us came, that was a wounded story, where we felt like whatever happened, a lot of people had traumatic births, majority of people had traumatic births. And that's also part of the mother wound, is when we were not born into this life with ease, with the kind of care that we really deserved and were meant to be born. And when we do the water healing, we create a new story, we create a new reality, we create a new way of rewiring our subconscious. And that experience with this particular client was so deeply healing. And when I was holding him in the water, he was just in total pure bliss. It was just absolute feeling of surrender and being held and loved and cherished, and the whole world is waiting for him to come here, to arrive. And I had myself, of course, several times the rebirthing experience in my breathwork trainings and with other exchanges with my colleagues. And that experience is absolutely incredible. Sometimes it's intense. It can be very intense because it brings up a lot of the unresolved issues that are still stored in our bodies, in our psyches. So, and what happened when he texted me yesterday was he told me, you know, I have 3 mothers now. One mother was my biological, who is full of dysfunction and pain and suffering, who just has no capacity to offer me any kind of nurturing that I really need. The second mother was his spiritual mother, who has a lot of wisdom that helped him to awaken to the truth of who he is. And then he shared, can I call you my divine mother? And that brought tears to my eyes and just such beautiful feeling in my heart of how precious that is, to be able to hold that healing container for someone to experience a rebirth and feel the belonging to this earth, and that there is a divine mother, that we're all connected to the divine, that all of us are connected to the divine mother who loves us unconditionally. No matter how much shame you might be still holding inside, because that was the case, or guilt for what you have done in your life, there is a divine mother that is inside of you, that loves you unconditionally. So now I just want to say a couple tips for you to help you understand of what can you do personally to, first of all, I want to give you like some tips about what are some of the symptoms. So like a doctor, when you go to the doctor to understand what is there for you to heal, the doctor looks at you, or a psychic, and gives you an indication to know, to read, be able to read you if you have some of these conditions. So I'll say some of that, and then I will offer you some tips to be able to heal deeper layers. I know that every single one of you in this group has done lots of deep inner work. And so I just want to add some other suggestions and possibilities for you to look deeper into the deeper layers of what else is there for you to heal. So some of the symptoms of a mother wound: feelings of abandonment, feelings of loneliness or rejection, or feelings of unworthiness, difficulty forming healthy relationships, or feeling like if you get close to with someone, then you would sabotage that relationship somehow, or attracting people who are not capable of loving you and nurturing you and being really supportive of you, of your growth and your dreams and your desires, who is there for you. But instead attracting relationships that are less than supportive. Or maybe you're in one like that right now, or you have some friends in your life who are not reflecting back to you the beauty of who you are and the possibilities, the infinite possibilities of what you can create and what you came here to create in this life. Or maybe fear of intimacy or fear of being vulnerable. The others, maybe chronic feelings of sadness, or even the sadness, the kind of sadness that you have really hard time reaching, or you're rejecting that level of sadness inside of you. And maybe it shows up on the surface as anger or anxiety or worries or feeling insecure about yourself. Also difficulties, I already mentioned that, but difficulties forming healthy boundaries. There was another training that we did earlier, maybe a few weeks or a couple months ago. And also having trouble with creating your own soothing, ability to soothe yourself, or self-care, or having time for yourself when you're able to just care for yourself and be unconditionally compassionate when you're having difficult moments, when you're really having difficult emotions or struggling, or something happens and you get really hard on yourself, instead of like wrapping your arms around you and being self-compassionate in the most difficult, challenging moments of your life. And then let me share with you a few tips. What can you do personally to heal the mother wound? First of all is acknowledging and honoring that there is still pain. Just really being honest with yourself that there is still pain in there that hasn't been processed, that hasn't had ability to be fully healed. And I just want to say that yes, you can absolutely heal, have miraculous healing. No matter how hard that feels or how deeply wounded it might feel to you, that there's this pain that will never go away. But it is really through feeling it that you can reach the deepest levels of healing and return to a state of wholeness and belonging to the Divine Mother, belonging to the earth, belonging to your body. Another symptom, and I will kind of bring back to the cure. There's another symptom that I see a lot with clients, people who have experienced mother wound, is disassociation. So a lot of people live in their head and have a really difficulty reaching and feeling the body. So there's a lot of mentalization and disconnection from this reality. A lot of times also maybe daydreaming, where you just kind of dream, but you're not fully here in this now moment in your body. And the cure for that is grounding into your body and learning when you are not in your body, really being able to discern and catch yourself when you are leaving your body, when you're not fully here, and have the tools to be able to bring you back into your body, fully feeling the pain, fully feeling the sensations in your body that you have been neglecting or rejecting or avoiding. And it is really truly through feeling that you can heal. Feeling leads to healing and return to wholeness. And then other things that I love to do, and also a lot of times suggest my clients do, is to engage in regular daily self-reflection. A lot of my clients do morning writing, spontaneous writing, where you write down on paper, like I do every morning myself. I write usually 3 pages or more, minimum 3 pages of spontaneous writing, where I just write, even if I wake up out of a dream that was disturbing, like I had last night, something was just stirred up in me during the night, and I just write that down, and that brings a lot more clarity and self-awareness of what actually going on. And through writing, you can really feel that tender parts of yourself that are challenged, and bring love and self-compassion to those parts of you that are challenged. And then other things, as I already mentioned, self-compassion, but a big part of self-compassion is self-forgiveness. And forgiving your mother, forgiving your role models in your life who were less than ideal, that's important. But even more important is to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for believing in those stories. Forgiving yourself for acting less than loving, maybe towards your mother, towards yourself especially. For all the negative self-talk that you have engaged in for years. I know every single one of us has engaged for years. That's why we're here. That's why we're seekers of truth. We're seekers of reuniting with true love, unconditional love that we are. And then self-care, of course, self-care and activities that soothe you, that bring you a sense of ease, and where you can give it to yourself, that bring you, cultivate inner peace, cultivate love for yourself, and self-awareness, and a sense of self-worth. That your self-worth is when you pause and give yourself that care, you realize that your self-worth is not dependent on what you do or what you accomplish, or your external validations, or accolades, or rewards, or degrees, or any kind of external accomplishments, like more money, bigger salary, or more likes, or more comments. But it's self-worth that is your inherent value, because you're here, because you are the extension of divine love, source, God, goddess, nature. You are nature. And then the other one I want to suggest, another thing that I love, and sometimes it's challenging because part of mother wound is also blocked creativity. But to open that creative flow is to allow yourself space to engage in creative activities where you just have time to be unproductive, where you can just see what feels good, what feels pleasurable as your creative expression. And creating those big chunks of time, maybe a day, where you take yourself on a creativity date, or you just take yourself on any kind of date, adventure, and let that inner part of you, that inner child that is wounded from not having the kind of mother-child relationship that you really deserved, and letting that part of you, that inner child, ability to play, ability to be non-productive, and just be nurtured and loved and cherished. Maybe it is taking her on a date to get some ice cream, or taking her to a movie, or letting her decide, maybe going on a bicycle ride, or whatever she wants, but getting in touch with that part of you that is the inner child. She's there, and there are many different ages of the inner child that is in you, and letting her lead you and guide you, and letting the adult responsible you follow the inner child. I know it's not easy, because the adult that is so strong in many of us has a really hard time trusting that the inner child will lead us to good. But really it is through that unleashing and giving permission to the inner child that you can have exactly what you're looking for. And the adult has no way, that responsible, overly responsible adult has no way of getting you there, because it just follows what your mind, that formula or whatever, kind of just follows narrow pathway for you to do, to get the things done, following the to-do list. But that more creative, free, liberated, playful, and pleasurable part of you wants to be unleashed. So it's maybe for many of you, it's a reminder to give yourself permission for that part of you, that unleashed, that is waiting to be unleashed part of you, the inner child space to play. Let me just share from my own experience. Let's see what I want to share. There's so much I can share, because I definitely have experienced a lot of turbulence in my relationship with my mother. And I know that there's a lot of mother wound kind of stuff, which I've been healing for over 10 years, maybe 15 years now. And that started with the birth story, where the cord was wrapped around my neck and there were no nurses around to support my mom. So that's where original story started. And also my mom had a lot of trauma growing up, with her dad leaving when she didn't even know her father, never met her father. And it is through that empathy for my mom that I learned to understand that it's nothing about me personally that she rejected or didn't have the tools to be nurturing and loving to me and emotionally available in the way that I needed her to be. And it's her own wounding that is there. And when I connected with that child in her, I saw a 7-year-old, and even younger little baby in her. And I just started forgiving and sending so much compassion and love to that part of her, that I have to say that now I recently spent 3 weeks with my mom, and it's pretty miraculous that I don't feel the same triggers that she had before. The same buttons that were triggered inside of me before. And now I still see like that my mom, their patterns are still the same. She hasn't changed a whole lot, I don't think, but maybe she has. But my love for her grew tremendously, and my ability to just see that tender crying for attention part of her that I just didn't know before existed. I just felt like she has no capacity to listen to me or even be curious about my needs or my world. I always had this poor me story. But this last time that I was with her, I just feel chills that I didn't experience that. There wasn't that triggering. I just felt love, pure love with her. And I'm sharing this with you because I know that the tools and the practices that I teach and engage in and everything that I share with you here, they work. They absolutely work. But you have to commit to it. So I want to ask you again, what are some of the things you want to commit to? Some of the practices. And of course, also finding somebody, whether it's a therapist or holistic practitioner, or also a support group, being part of a group with other women. It's a huge way that you can bless yourself and gift it to yourself to heal deeper layers of mother wound. And please feel free to also support other women, because it's so important that when we do this work, that we feel safe and supported, that we are not alone and there's no shame. Although all the shame and all those feelings that there's something wrong with me do surface. And it's important to let that come to the surface, because that's the only way that we can heal, is when we become more and more aware of what's been in the shadow, in the dark, that we felt like we cannot reach, we cannot touch that. And it's absolutely out of our self-protection that we put a lot of those parts of ourselves into the shadow, because we needed to survive and live through the difficult experiences. I send you much love and just giving you a huge motherly hug, and just know that you are so loved, you are so nurtured, and you are perfect exactly as you are. You're whole and complete just as you are. Much love.